So in October 2019, October 4th, 2019, I was released from prison, and my trust issues made me think that my coach wasn't coming, even though she said she was every week. I bugged her every week. I'm like, "Are you promised you're coming? You promised you're coming?" She said, "I promised I'll be there." And I was the second one released from the prison. There was a whole group of us, and I'm the second one. They're like, 224-7397. And I'm like, "That's me. Somebody's here. Am I going home?" Like, that's what's it. And I walked out the doors, and she was standing there. And so that was my first taste of how people in recovery, when they say they're going to do something, they do what they say, right? And so that's started forming my trust for people around me and people in the recovery field, right? Because like I said, I got trust issues, right? Because people in my life were not consistent. And so she brought me to Houston from Plain State, which is in Dayton. And so when I got here, I went and stayed in an emergency shelter for 2 weeks, and then I moved into a recovery house. And I chose to put myself into outpatient because I needed to stay connected. I needed to find other people, right, that were in recovery and figure out what everybody else is doing. Because if there's more people in recovery and it's working, right, what are they doing that's working so that I can get that, right? Because the last thing I want to do is have another, for me, what I would consider a failure, right? Because I kept, there's lots of times I tried, right? But I just couldn't get it. I just didn't get it, right? And I don't know if it's because I didn't have those right tools or I wasn't sure what to do. But when they say change your people, places, and things, like, they mean that, right? And I literally did it. I picked myself up from a whole city and moved myself to a whole nother one hours away. And since being in recovery, I have met quite a few people who I consider my closest friends and family. Right. And one of those is my coworker now. That's how I heard about Frontlines, right? I didn't even know what Frontlines did. And she told me what she did. And I was like, "Oh, that is so cool," right? Like, that's so cool that you get to go inside and you get to be hands-on with these people. Because I know of recovery or people getting sober as going into treatment, right? You just go into treatment, and some people want to be there, some people don't. But I didn't know, like, I figured it was just like I'm just tired, and sometimes I just need a place to sleep, or I just needed to chill out for a little bit. And so I would put myself in, right? Put myself in, do it, and go back out and do the same thing. But in being in recovery, I'm learning that when you get connected and you stay connected, there's so many different avenues, right? And so when Ronnie had told me about her job, I was like, okay. And so I did the recovery coach training again, right? And I'm like, I think I'm ready to go back into the job field. And a couple people said, go look at these certain places. There's some job openings, put your resume in. And I'm like, a resume? Like, I haven't done one of those in like 10 years. And I think my big sister helped me make my last one. So I'm freaking out at this point. And I'm like, I don't know. And then I'm like, what am I going to put? Because I have huge gaps in my resume, right? Like, huge years. And how do I explain that? And I'm like, wait a minute. If I'm going into the recovery field, these people are going to understand that those huge gaps are okay, right? Because they understand it was my addiction, right? And the addiction, when it takes hold, right? And so, but it's what you're doing at this point forward, right? Not about your past. And so I put in quite a few resumes, and I actually had quite a few interviews, which was really cool because I wasn't sure about how to do these interviews. And I'm like, what do I say? What if they don't like me, right? And I did quite a few with HRC, as a matter of fact, for a couple different positions. And I got the call from my supervisor now, Gina, who said, let me just talk with you for a minute. We talked for like 30, 45 minutes. And then she's like, okay, well, we need to do a more formal interview. How about tomorrow? We'll do it over the phone. And I'm like, that's amazing. And we just talked the entire 2 hours. And she was like, I think that you would be a great fit. And next thing you know, I was employed by Houston Recovery Center, sitting over at the office in front of a desk with a badge with my picture on it, right? And I can, and a card that I can like put it up next to something, and the door pops open, and I'm like, oh, this is really cool, right? But the even better part is that my job gets to go out and help that person that was just like me, right? And let them know that there's a different life, right? And it's not just about, hey, I'm here to throw you into treatment, because that's not what it is, right? I'm here to say, hey, I know that you've been through some stuff, right? And I know that life gets tough and you just don't want to deal. And I'm here to tell you that there's a way to deal with it, and I can help you deal with it without getting high, right? And so whenever you're ready, let's do this, right? Whether it's today, if you're ready today, I got somewhere we can go. And if you're not ready today, here's my card and here's some Narcan in case you decide you want to go out again and try it, or you're around somebody and somebody else tries it. You can help them at the same time. And when you're ready, my door's open and my phone's always on. So just call me.